peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
I will begin with a short statement on the topic. 1. Cliffhanger politics occurs when the left hits the right hits the center hits the north hits the south. The state of confusion over taxation in this Republic of Kenya leaves a lot to be desired. From 2013, the MPs that were in Parliament at that time passed a budget, recommended that budget, and said the 16% levy would come into effect in 2013. But later on, they decided to push the date to 2018. President Uhuru Kenyatta took over a government that had obligations, both local and international. In international obligations, he had to continue to service the date that the government of President Kibaki had. Of course, with the continuation of assembling and making sure that the Constitution of 2010 works effectively, the president had to embark on a budget that could see cementing the rule of law through constitutionalism, making sure that all the institutions of the world, that the world wants, are working and work in Kenya. It is therefore very important to understand the root causes of the current taxation saga that continues to haunt and create cliffhanger politics into this nation. The 11th Parliament passed the budget. The 12th Parliament today found the budget and the tax levy had already been passed. For all these years, from 2013 to 2018, there are several oversight committees in Parliament, committees of finance, committees of budget, committees of all legal and other apparatus that work up in a democracy. Why didn't they look at this as very important taxation that had been shelved by the Minister of Finance? It is therefore very prudent and very important for the people of this country to understand, and the rest of the world to understand, that the international obligations and the factors that run around international agencies that lend in money, that support our programs in Africa, they come with conditions that you must fulfill before the sustenance of such grants or loans or whatever help they are giving to the nations in Africa. It is very important, therefore, to learn that behind all this, there is what we call cliffhanger politics. The politics that seeks to victimize. The politics that seeks to push a person to the wall. The politics that seeks to cause a state of despondence where the masses could turn against the president of republic of any country in Africa. These factors could be coming from both internal and external forces that are hidden that would like to collapse the systems and replace the systems with their own likings. It is therefore very important for the people of Africa to watch out for such maneuvers, such Machiavellian systems of operation. Machiavellian in the sense that they planted the story, they orchestrate the script, they write the script, they tell, they engineer, they sit down and discuss the formula on how to weaken a government. One of the things disturbing Machiavellian politicians or cliffhanger politicians is what is it that it was in the handshake. It is this handshake that has pained even those who were moderate, who turn around to become hardliners. It is this handshake, the question of redemption, seeking redemption, that people are querying. What is it? What is it? What is it? What is inside it? The government therefore should move fast to make sure that they put it out in the 9-point program that we see, so that it is among the people that the terms of reference of all this is thrown to the people to make their own judgment. The second reason why cliffhanger politics works, or why people create cliffhanger politics, is to confuse the main item. What is the main item of Kenyans today? The main item of Kenyans is to fight corruption. Since President Uhuru Kenyatta declared that he will fight corruption through a lifestyle audit, there has been a sense of cliffhanger politics, direction of cliffhanging, of taking us to almost falling and then coming back. These are called diversionary tactics in political science. Tactics that take your enemy or your friend, or even tactics that can take a country into a bad direction, keep it there, bring it back, manipulate it, so that the main issue of corruption is not discussed. These are cardinal points that people must look at when you are fixing your mind on the current political, economic, social mechanisms that are operating on the state of Republic of Kenya. Like in Zimbabwe today, the cliffhanger politics has entered the same style of cliffhanger politics of Machiavellian. Boycott, don't come in later. Oppose, don't oppose, come in later. That is the way cliffhanger politics works. Any student of political science will know that those who seek to grab power through dubious means to cause despondency first go by causing a state of despondence by making sure that the masses hate the leadership. President Uhuru Kenyatta, as a shepherd, must strike the shepherd. As the owner of the sheep, must strike the shepherd once for all. Strike the shepherd, the sheep will scatter. morning, viewers. Good morning. Thank you very much for coming back from your holidays, wherever you had gone. Thank you very much. Well traveled back to your places of work this morning in Kenya and all over Africa. Wherever you were, thank you very much. This morning we shall do things differently. We shall begin by looking at the news making headlines in the whole world, including Africa. Then our topic today will be, the first topic will be corruption and the war against corruption in Africa, and especially in Kenya. The second topic will be democracy dialogue and conflicts in Africa. Have they worked? Does democracy work? Does dialogue work? Or they have produced conflicts? That's the basis of my question. Have we tried both and they failed? We see several states in Africa collapsing under the possession of the regime change tactics that have been brought in by unknown forces. So we shall look at that. In Sudan, we shall look at it. We know that last week I told you the army is getting restless. And they're not going to keep on you blocking the roads and there is no economic activity. Yet you actually told the world that there is no bread, the economy is down, so you have to go back to work somehow and give the army space to arrange your transition of voting, everything, and put a government in place. It means the demonstrators are up to something. And this is something that I want to tell Africans today. Frankly speaking, I will begin by introducing my guest. Sorry, it has been wrong.
It's been a while, 4 days.
Yeah, you have become a guest. I like your red.
Thank you.
Red blouse.
You had a good Easter?
Yes, what are you saying? I was here. I think you must have listened to me. I was working.
When I leave work,
you switched off completely.
Yes.
I remained working.
You were working?
Yes, I worked.
Very good.
There was serious information coming from Khartoum.
Yes.
And I had to go on makeshift mobile unit.
Oh.
And I broadcast. Many people were there.
Yes.
And then I worked a bit on the radio. And worked a bit on writings. You must have, today you will start reading quite a lot.
I think I saw one of your articles this morning as I was preparing for the show.
The one on Raila Amolo Odinga?
Yes, I think an hour ago, yes.
That one I've stood out. I think Kenyans fear to say the truth.
Yes.
There is nothing to fear about, to tell the truth. Raila Amolo Odinga is now a High Commissioner for African Union on infrastructure. If he goes to China, he's going also to listen. He can go to China without President Uhuru Kenyatta. But if there is a meeting that touches on infrastructure, there's nothing wrong.
Because a lot of Kenyans have been questioning why.
For what?
Yes.
Let's tell the truth. All of us, some of us were not everybody was happy with Raila, including myself. But I had disagreements that don't bother to hate.
Yes.
You don't hate. Kenyans are not telling the truth. Me, I've said it. Read it. So what will you do? You read.
Is it the fact that Raila is going together with President Uhuru Kenyatta, or is the fact that the billions of shillings that they are going to ask for? What is really troubling Kenyans?
I don't know. That's what I said. I tell the truth.
Yes.
Like Makau Mutua, he put it on the weekend. You saw Makau Mutua? He hammered it on Sunday. Fact by fact. Take the arrow, the last arrow and shoot. If you are to win the enemy. Because we are not going to, why do we keep quiet about these things? Yes, not everybody was happy. Even me, who was very, very close to Jubilee Party, as a friend of Jubilee Party, I was not happy. Because this is the man who wanted to reach me. And immediately when the president crossed his hand and said, thank you, yes. You take the unity of a country is more important than cheap hatred.
Than personal interest.
Yes, cheap. You know, when you say personal, it can cheap. This is cheapness. Cheap people who go on hating people.
Yes.
Forever. When Saul changed to Paul, do we have a problem again? Did God condemn Paul again? Jamin. Raila is a high commissioner representative for Africa. He can go to advise any African country. Every African country in here is borrowing for infrastructure. If he has got those, logistics from AU to help Kenya to see which project can be borrowed, which project can be extended, which roads can we bring, is there any problem? Is he going on your money? No. He's going on African Union money. But if there is a flight where Uhuru is going, they are all Kenyans. Then there are some people here on social media, this or this. Look, Jamen, no, none of you have known Raila. Some of you claim to have known Raila. I knew Raila in 1982. 1982, where were you? Tell us. You are still, throwing mucus, and then you come here to threaten people. Where were you in 1982? Where? Which class were you? Muzungumize. I knew Raila in 1982, and there are people who can say we knew Raila. They are here. They are here and they are in Uganda, they are everywhere. We knew Raila in 1982. Ourselves. We made him where he is. His life was in danger. The people who laugh about refugees and so on, do you see me laughing? Because do you see Raila insulting Matanga? No. We had problems with Raila. I was the one throwing, because of one technical thing, the dislike I had for Kofi Annan. I hated Kofi Annan up to today. But he has gone, so I will not hate his grave. I can go and put flowers there.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, for reconciliation. And part of my disagreement with Mzee Raila was because of Kofi Annan. Because I knew where Kofi Annan was coming from. And if anybody was to say why Kofi Annan was here to steal an envelope to go and fix it, two younger men, tell me that I should stand and wait and watch like a hapless African kwenda. I don't like it. Let people not threaten people. Raila has done nothing wrong to have a handshake. Am I wrong?
The country needed that.
Thank you, Miriam. This country needed a handshake, a break from the violence that we had seen. That violence was going to kill us. Yes. Was killing every businessman, every shop, everybody. Even vigilantes, shops were creating vigilantes to kill each other. So what Raila did under Uhuru was to shake hands and don't be threatened. In fact, this handshake is going to be stronger. Anybody opposing it, I don't want to speak like Nani Atwoli. Hey, my age. Some people beat me on money, but they can't beat me on age. That's the truth. You'll never beat Masanga on age. You can even tell everything you want on earth. In fact, now, from May, I'm determined man to tell some people in this country the truth and go if I need to be. I've had enough threatening me because of money, stolen money, stolen. Don't threaten people, but not age and the wisdom. I don't go to beg him 7. Never me. He has my money. He never gave me. Have I died? But still I respect him. I give him respect as a head of state. Although he conquered me pesa zangu, the peace process, I give him respect, and I have not shied away from telling the truth. $284,000 until it is paid. Akona shida na mimi quietly, and this is known. It was my money. African Union, AU was going to pay. And he said he will pay. Mimi bado enda kupigana na yeye kwa again in the forest. I need that money. He's giving people 10 million Kenya shillings, 220. Give me the money. I worked for it. Rugunda is my witness. Okelo Oriam is my witness. That's why they are there. I never asked for him. Mnaenda usiku unazungumza kwa nani? Wewe fanya biashara yako na Museveni. Usifanye na mimi. I've suffered enough, mom. Hii mambo ya Raila did a good thing to shake a hand. Wale wenye wapendi Raila, me, you cannot force me now to hate him. The president who has kept me here, this is his country. I cannot go against him and say I oppose Raila. Do I have my country to go to? I can go home. So I will support what the president says. If the president says now Raila has started wrestling me down, we go back again to the drawing board, or we negotiate for them to remain as brothers. Hii mambo ya kutishatisha watu kwa Facebook, mnatishatisha muandike. Ash. Yeah? The Kenyans need someone to stand up to say, if I did not say something that the ICC was a very bad organization. Kenyans were praising Ocampo more than their mothers and the fathers. Did you know that? Hey, Ocampo! Hey, Ocampo! Yet he was going to dismember their country. Am I wrong? You saw. People welcomed. Even Kibaki wanted to close the office. In fact, he closed the office to meet Ocampo.
But we called Ocampo to come.
Sindio, thinking that he's a simple lawyer who is a thief. A very terrible thief who gambles all the money, $17 million. Gamble. And even he went to eat to gamble his own money from the ICC. Now, I was telling people they didn't see. From the time Ocampo picked money from a certain government on tape in London, in Cumberland Hotel, from that time, whoa, I lost respect. So when I was telling people here, Miriam, people were thinking a Ugandan has come to look for money. Now, there you are. What I told came true. Because ICC had passed our country first, not here. Not here. Actually, when the ICC passed our country, people were calling us wakimbizi. You could not even eat food until Kenyans saw the first wakimbizi wave in 1992. When they found me in London, I was filling their forms. The ones who called us wakimbizi. I was already in London. Filling their forms. They are running away from Moi. So people don't, please. Hii mambo ya kuhip insults kwa watu muwache. Raila has done a very good thing for this country. Why don't you change all this information and shout at the thieves? Let's begin from there. Introduce Miriam Ogut. I think I've started by hitting so hard that you got scared.
No, it's okay.
You are never scared with me now. You have to get used to it, my mom.
It's okay.
Because certain people, me, I don't, you know, there are people in this place who are working. Someone is asking the principal private secretary of the president somewhere in Uganda, oh, what is this? I know everything. Lakini jua, even Museveni himself knows I am a very innocent man. Very good. I'll never catch a gun again. I'll never go to violence. I'll only do dialogue. In fact, if Museveni calls me to do dialogue between him and Bob Wine, the country will be stable. I'm asking Rugunda, we sit again and finish this problem. Because they seem to be just blood hatred. There is no basic. The basics are not there. This is a younger man. The president should have called a younger man. This is a younger man, 36 years old. The president of Uganda is older than this man twice. He's 36. Museveni is 72. Call this son of his, sit down and say, what is the problem? I want you to play your music. I want you to continue with this and that, but please don't divide the country. This man will not do this. But we are giving martyrdom, politics of martyrdom. This boy is rising a star as a martyr. Why is the president allowing this? Hello, Ugandans watching me. This can be dialogued. That's why I brought this topic here. We have more problems pressing in East Africa. Terrorism, new types of terrorism that is coming in East Africa. We have terrorists on the loose from Iraq, Iran, from Iraq, Afghanistan and Syria. They are on the loose. We don't want us to refocus on petty squabbles. Hello. Yes? Yeah.
Thank you indeed. Just a short break there. And of course, Dr. Matanga will be right back. So yeah, sorry for that.
We don't want, sorry, a telephone call came. We don't want to divert from the ISIS. ISIS is relocating everywhere. African countries must open their eyes. Jermaine, yesterday, Uganda intelligence said there are men on the loose, 2 of them, you remember? 2 of them, they are on the loose, a man and a woman. Let's look for them. Let's not focus on fighting Raila or fighting this. Raila is a statesman, is a Kenyan. The biggest problem we have here is the vote. The vote. Watu wanagopa. Sasa kama munagopa Raila, mnamzungumzia saa hii, yeye bado sema anataka kukua leader. Has Raila said he wants to stand? Not yet. But when he says you are building his name now, by the way, you have started the campaigns too early.
Raila has a name already.
No, you are even increasing his name.
His popularity.
Yeah, because you know there is a saying, mwanzo kwa Kiswahili, mwanzo hapana, the one who starts first.
It doesn't finish first.
Yes.
Kutangulia sio kufika.
Kufika.
Yes.
Jameni, mchunge hii kitu. People will just do that. Because this, you see, this thing needs planning. But if you have younger men, using the political delinquency, is that correct English? Politics of delinquency. Juvenile. They are all over the whole place insulting everybody. Some of them cannot wear the shoes of my children. They insult me every time. Because you have only defended Uhuru Kenyatta. You are now a target. So I don't know where these people got this word. That when you write the word corruption, Miriam, I think you have never told me that the word corruption means someone.
Is it synonymous to somebody?
They come for you. They come for you like this New York bad man. They come for you. This is the life. Viewers, corruption in Kenya has destroyed this country. The fight against corruption is very important for the people of Kenya. Raila, Uhuru, Ruto, wherever they are, they must spearhead. Kalonzo, Mudavadi, Wetangula, these are the leaders who have come out to be seen. You must spearhead the fight against corruption in Kenya. If you don't spearhead the war against corruption, then we have problems. Then we refocus on other things while terrorists resettle in East Africa, while wars begin cracking, chest wars. You see what is happening in Sudan. I told people here last week on my show that there is a darker force that picked money from Jamena dropped the money in Khartoum, that the guys in Khartoum who are demonstrating are saying they have been told, don't leave. Yes, that don't leave. Don't leave here until we tell you. It means there is a foreign force, a hand that is overthrowing governments in Africa. Why can they overthrow beer, Paulo beer? If you think I'm talking shit or nonsense. Sorry, today the language is, Jesus has risen. Therefore the language has risen. Sorry. Let me tell you, why don't we go and overthrow Paulo Biya, who is killing Amazonians from morning, evening, night, eating them breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Why are you leaving that tyrant killing people on a daily basis? Now you see the demonstrators in Khartoum are going to have a confrontation with the army. The army is not going, the army, what the British army, American army, once they give their order, they kill. There is no army that does not kill. Show me one army that does not kill. Show me one.
Maybe not kill, but they will force
get them. No. Mama,
I don't think they'll kill them.
They will.
They will get them out.
I mean, some of them, some people in Khartoum are going to die because they are there. It doesn't, when you lose your life because of, you wait for international community. Which international community? Can I lose life because of international community? Community will not bury you, will not feed your children, Benjamin. The type of happening in Khartoum right now means there is somebody sponsoring this regime change who is saying don't leave. Now the army is telling them go back and organize yourselves, bring us one civilian name. They don't want.
To do that.
Now this is the beginning of collapse of states in Africa. As we shall see in the second part. Miriam, it is very serious. You handle it in this first part. I will come in the second part to handle dialogue, democracy, and the conflict. Have they worked in Africa? Do we need to redesign ourselves?
And our governance system. I think that the protesters in Sudan, they have overstayed in the streets. They need
you can't use, okay.
Yes. And give the army time and the council time to...
My dear sister, you protested that there was a problem of bread. Okay?
Yes.
Now, you are going to protest for 2 months. Where will the wheat come from? The rains have come. River Nile is flooding. You need to use these floods. You know, this Sudan depends on us. Of the river, the rain from this place serves Sudan, and this is the flooding season. From the Mao forest and everywhere, the temperature, the level of the waters of River Nile, of Lake Victoria are going to rise, and the River Nile rises and flows into Sudan. So if you are going to stay on the streets of Khartoum shouting Mara, for what? The army is going to come and sweep them off. The army does not say, the people I know on that military council, the people I know, like General Dokolo, they are not going to take this nonsense. The rapid force, the guy, if you said, do you know the problem they will make? They want to say, they don't want anybody who worked with Bashir. Dokolo will take over that power, and they will be welcomed. You know, it's Dokolo who came and took power there. I know that guy from 1996, 98. Jermaine, that tall man with different uniform. Don't you see the structure? Don't you see these structures for leadership? He will. And soon turn this thing, he will have to chase those demonstrators. The army headquarters, they need to sit down and work. They don't want your empty shouting every day. You have shouted Bashir has gone.
It's time for them to go home.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, the African Union has known the position. They have given Sudan some time to arrange.
A week has nearly passed now.
Yes.
They're given 15 days to form
and they extended. When they took the proposal there, it was extended. The Security Council of African Union knows.
Because they require more time.
Yes.
I think also the
You cannot just tell them that bring a civilian government which is going to break like in Libya.
Yes. They need a
collect terrorists and put them in power.
They need a proper structure.
Have you seen how France is doing this again? I tell you all the time, and the people think I hate France. Have you seen what France is doing in Khartoum? It is the one telling them, don't leave, we shall bring more money resources for demonstration. The money that overthrew, it is, don't be told a lie. Wallahi, I have evidence, serious evidence. The money that overthrew Mr. Bashir came from Jamena. That's why the AU chairperson cannot speak. He went on holiday, on relief. He's not in his headquarters. He can't speak. He designed it, my friend. He designed it. While in Libya, France gives General Khalifa Haftar guns and aircraft manned from Mediterranean Sea ship. They go and hit a government that has been sponsored by UN. A UN government is being hit. A recognized AU government is being hit by France. And they say, Africa, we should not talk. Kwenda. There's nothing I need in France.
You're not planning to go visit?
For what?
And see the...
To eat frogs?
After the Notre Dame has been reconstructed. You
for what?
Go see.
There are some other tourist areas. God cannot be prayed in that church only.
And Paul Biya has promised some money for French construction.
Paul Biya promises money to people who are starving at home.
And a lot of other...
Africa, are we misplaced? Paul Biya is a disgrace. In fact, if that money of Paul Biya is added to building that temple, it will come down again.
Oh no, I hope not.
Yes, because Paul Biya's money is blood money. Paul Biya has killed so many people in Cameroon. He should not be a head of state. You see, the growing number of African scholars, we are going to finish these guys through brains. We are not going to use arms, through brains. But not regime change. Funded by George Soros. Never. Me, that side type of organization, I don't like to be it. The problem that we have starts with corruption cases. Now, corruption scandal in Kenya is very wide, very big. It is causing us ripples. Corruption is the new enterprise. Yes, if you are not careful, it can create us a conflict. It is creating a conflict. As we shall see in the second part. Yes. Over to you, Miriam. I just want to take a break. Okay. And come back at the top of the hour. You have exactly 20 minutes. Yes. I've stolen, we have shown. No, but that is the usual minutes of yours. Yes. You can steal another 10 on mine. No, it's okay. That's... Until I come back on this. But that is my message. All right. The people fear to tell the truth. On Raila, I've said the truth. I've written it. It's on my Facebook. Read and challenge me. Raila is a High Commissioner for African Union. He can travel anywhere. Don't be petty. Oh, that is going to... He can even take China Airways and arrive in China. Will you stop him from saying Uhuru? Jameni, is this what? Why? I went to school, I'm happy. Hey, surely you said Raila is going to China with the president. Are you a woman? Women are the ones who are petty. But we men writing such things. Hey, we're not that petty. No, some women, yes. I'm here, I'm representing. Yes. Yeah, but yeah.
I think
you see, my worry,
yes.
we shall cross over to Khartoum
yes.
later on in the program.
Yes, and have our lead from our correspondent in Khartoum, right?
You heard?
I'm saying we'll have our correspondent.
Yes,
there.
I heard him on that night when we were waiting for announcement from the army. We thought the army was going to move in to take away the demonstrators. On the makeshift mobile unit, we had our broadcast. It was fantastic.
Great, I missed.
And Dr. Ali Mukhtar, be on standby. He's watching you now. He greeted you, I had forgotten to say.
I received my Easter greetings. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm here, I'm back. And we'll talk to you, we'll join you later. So right now and later on, of course, at the top of the hour, we'll be looking at dialogue, democracy, and conflict in Africa. Have they worked? And so right now, as we wait to look at that at the top of the hour, I would like us to go straight to what is making headlines this morning in Africa.
Yeah.
All right, and just before that, maybe we take a very short break, and then I'll come back with the headlines, news making headlines in Africa this morning. So please don't go too far. Just a very short break. Thank you very much and welcome back. This is Good Morning Africa, where we bring you the latest in what is happening in the continent. In the first few minutes of the show, I had together with Dr. David Matsanga, and we're going through some of the news making headlines in Kenya. And right now, I'd like us to just go straight to what is making headlines across countries in Africa. And later on, we'll be looking at dialogue, democracy, and the conflict in Africa. Which one of these have really worked in resolving some of the crises and the problems the continent has been facing? And I'd like to start with Sri Lanka. Just before I get to the rest of African news, of course, something that happened over the weekend, and the death toll from Sri Lanka's Easter Sunday bombings has now reached 310, with several people succumbing to their injuries, according to police spokesperson. About 500 people were wounded in the blast, and of course, in a statement adding that 40 people are now under arrest in connection with the attacks. A series of coordinated bombings in the Easter Sunday rocked the churches and hotels in Sri Lanka, and of course the blast targeted 4 hotels, including Shangri-La, Kingsbury, and the Cinnamon Grand in the capital, Colombo, as well as 3 other churches. And the attack is considered so far the deadliest in Sri Lanka since the end of the civil war 10 years ago. So our deepest condolences and our heartfelt condolences, of course, goes to the people of Sri Lanka, even as they're going through this very difficult time, and we're praying for a quick recovery for the people who are still nursing very serious injuries. And of course, now we start with Nigeria, where President Muhammadu Buhari's spokesperson has hit back at the Catholic bishop who accused him of sleeping on duty as the commander-in-chief. During an Easter address, the bishop of Yola Diocese, Stephen Manza, criticized Mr. Buhari's government for allegedly failing to stop the rising wave of violence, including abductions and banditry. And we go to Uganda, where a popstar turned opposition lawmaker Bobi Wine has condemned his brief arrest on Monday as saying he was treated like a terrorist, but he will not be intimidated by continuing his war against President Yoweri Museveni's dictatorship. Policemen with batons and riot shields forced Bobi Wine, whose real name is Robert Changulanyi, out of his car as he was making his way to a concert at a venue south of capital in Kampala. We go to South Sudan, where South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has called upon the rebel leader Riek Machar to urgently return to the country and implement the peace bill signed last year. Kiir, was delivering an Easter message, also recounted the piercing experience during his recent Vatican visit when the Pope kissed his feet, along with Machar and other South Sudanese political leaders. And in Sudan, Sudan's military ruler has pledged to address protesters who are demanding a civilian government, within 1 week, echoing the army's commitment to hand over power to the people. New army ruler General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who was addressing protesters on Sunday, also confirmed that cash worth $113 million had been seized from deposed President Omar al-Bashir's residence. And still in Sudan, Sudan has received a critical financial boost from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, who on Sunday granted $3 billion in support for the country that is transitioning from the 30-year rule of dispossessed leader Omar al-Bashir. The oil-rich Gulf states are pledged to inject $500 million into the Sudanese central bank and $2.5 billion to help provide food, medicine, and petroleum products, the official Saudi press agency has confirmed. We go to Algeria, where the interim president Abdelkader Ben Salah called for a dialogue on Monday with the country's political class. It is not clear what the meeting was about, but some members of the country's political class are said to have rejected the initiative. This comes even after Ben Salah seems to be resolving the national political crisis. Move to Mali, where the Malian President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta has appointed a new prime minister days after the government resigned amid the prime minister resigned amid a spike in violence in the West African country. A former finance minister Bobo Cisse, who is 41 years old, has been tasked with forming a broad government to stem the bloodshed in the country, the presidential office announced in a statement on Monday. There was demonstrations for the last 2 weeks, one of the biggest in the recent years, following the killing of almost 160 villagers from the Fulani community. Go to Malawi, where a landslide washed away an entire village in the Rumpi districts of the northern Malawi, killing at least 3 people, leaving 5 missing and dozens wounded in hospital, police has confirmed. And we come to Kenya, where now the country has intensified lobbying among peers to gain a seat on the United Nations Security Council ahead of the official launch for the bid in June. Kenya has been lobbying peers in the African Union to support Nairobi's campaign to focus on issues affecting the developing world. At state events, Kenyan officials have lobbied visiting dignitaries and made the same plea during President Uhuru Kenyatta's visits abroad. We go to Cameroon, where the European Union has now warned of an unfolding catastrophe in the conflict-hit English-speaking regions of Cameroon, or Ambazonia, where the state and the separatist militia are engaged in blatant atrocities. In a resolution on Thursday last week, the EU Parliament said the security and the political situation in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon were deteriorating and called on President Paul Biya's government to immediately take all steps bring an end to the violence and impunity in the country. We head to Burundi, where now Burundi is pushing for membership of the 16th member South African Development Community and has invited a team from the bloc to evaluate its readiness and report to the summit. Burundian Foreign Affairs Minister Ezekiel Nibigira last week visited the chair of SADC summit, Namibian President Hage Geingob, and said the country is ready to receive the team in May. In 2017, Burundi and Comoros applied for membership of SADC, but after scrutiny, Burundi's application was put on hold as Comoros became the 16th member of the regional bloc. And the Uganda-Rwanda row. And the latest is that Rwandans living in the Gatuma border town can now cross over to Uganda without much restrictions for the first time in 2 months as tensions between the two neighbors begin to ease. However, Rwandans from other border points are still barred from crossing 7 weeks after Rwanda issued a warning against traveling to Uganda. Rwanda stopped its citizens from crossing into Uganda, accusing Kampala of illegally arresting, torturing, and deporting its citizens. And Uganda, on the other hand, is accusing Rwanda of spying on its territory and infiltrating its security agencies. We go to South Africa, where at least 6 people have died, hundreds of homes damaged, and several roads leading into the city were flooded after heavy rain battered Durban overnight. The death toll in the Easter weekend storm over KwaZulu-Natal may still rise. Is it still being tallied by emergency services and police have confirmed this morning. Police search and rescue emergency services and private ambulance services are still busy throughout. They were busy throughout the night and this morning. And we end with Ethiopia, where the deaths of 28 hippos at the game park in Ethiopia is suspected to have been caused by an anthrax outbreak or toxic algae. But investigations are still underway, and the director of the Ethiopian Wildlife Conservation Authority has confirmed. So that is the latest news this morning, coming to you all the way from the Kenya's capital in Nairobi. A very wet morning, by the way. This morning it rained overnight. The rains have delayed for nearly over a month, so we are happy that the rains are here. So it's been a very wet morning this morning in Nairobi, but it's a bit of sunshine here and there. So it's a very good morning to you all the way from Nairobi, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. So that is the latest, and thank you so much, our viewers, and I know you've been keeping us company since we started about 52 minutes ago, and all right, John Clark, I think from the conversation we were having earlier together with Dr. David Matanga, you're saying the lack of Kenyan young people is unity that they have not been brought up in, and now what is being worked on to what Kenya was built in basics was peace, love, and unity. Indeed, Kenya, I remember during my school years, especially the primary school, peace, love, and unity was like the motto. It's something that we were taught and was instilled in that. I do not know where that is going, especially with the younger generation that we're having right now. And Nabuife Chidebere Vincent, thank you so much for writing to us this morning. You're saying, good morning, Miriam. When are you guys hoping to invite IPOB leader? You mean Namdi Kanu? I've tried to look for some news, the latest. I don't know what is the latest that is happening, but I think you can tell us in case there's any new news or information that we need to know of what is happening in Biafra land. Please kindly share with us, and I'll share with the rest of our viewers across the world. And we thank you so much. And Abdisamad Ali, good morning to you. And you're saying the opposition who work with Al-Shabaab of Somalia had a meeting in Nairobi yesterday. How can they get a platform in Kenya? That's a very good question. And I think when Dr. Matanga joins me back on set, I think he'll be in a position. I would like to hear his thoughts about that. And if indeed they did meet, then that is something to worry about. And Alfu, you're saying you missed us and we missed you too. You think I'm back from Tokyo? No, I'm just back from a very short break I had, or Easter break, and I'm back now. So good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining. So just looking through what happened over the weekend, and of course very sad events that took place in Sri Lanka, and right now the death toll has reached 310. Perhaps it has increased by the time I was coming to set. That is like over an hour ago. So right now it could be higher than that, but the last time I checked, the death toll from the Sri Lanka's Easter Sunday bombings stood at 310 people had died, and over 500 people were wounded. Indeed, it's a very sad events that took place in Sri Lanka, and of course the world has joined Sri Lanka in mourning. We've seen messages of condolences from leaders across the world, and indeed even here at Punchline Africa we relay our message of condolence, and we are praying for quick recovery of the people who were affected. The victims are still receiving treatments. Of course, burials started yesterday. There are a few people who have been able to be buried. The attack targeted four hotels that are known to have a lot of, foreigners visiting, this time, Sri Lanka, and also 3 churches. And I think I was watching some news item, was it on CNN or Al Jazeera? I can't really remember, early in the morning, and they were showing the CCTV cameras captured a man who actually was walking inside the church with a backpack, and he was able to drop it somewhere, and within no seconds it went off at around 8:40 something in the morning. So Indeed, very sad events, and the attack is considered so far the deadliest in Sri Lanka, coming just 10 years after they're going to celebrate 10 years next week after the end of a very deadly civil war that took place in Sri Lanka 10 years ago that claimed a lot of innocent lives. So, Dawit, the Jenna, you're saying Al-Shabaab are bad people. Indeed, Al-Shabaab are bad people, and terror is no joke. Claims even people are just we're just worshipping. I mean, like it's the worst thing. And Kang, what you're saying, you're watching all the way from Buffalo. That is in New York. Is it New York? Yes, in the United States of America. So thank you so much for joining this morning. And of course, the Nigerian president, over the Easter holiday, received very heavy criticism from a popular Catholic bishop who accused him of sleeping on duty as the commander-in-chief. The bishop has a feeling as though President Buhari is not doing enough, especially in terms of making sure that Nigeria as a whole, as a country, is secure, the borders are secure. And because of the threat now it is facing of Boko Haram. And remember, there have been criticism, not just within Nigeria and even outside Nigeria, of President Buhari's handling of Boko Haram, and there have been rumors that could be he is the founder of Boko Haram. Those are just allegations because of the manner in which he's handling this militant group. He's not seen as coming very hard on them or even wanting to get rid of Boko Haram. Instead, it is under his watch that Boko Haram has really spread its tentacles and has even spread in the very neighboring countries, and its effect are becoming very dire. And so when you hear news like this coming from Sri Lanka, I think it's very worrying, and I think that must have caused even the bishop to raise this question and question Mr. Buhari's even leadership and, is he sleeping on the job? So he told President Buhari he's sleeping on the job, and he is sleeping on duty as the commander-in-chief. And due to the threat of Boko Haram that has spread in Nigeria, in the northern part of Nigeria, and indeed that has caught up with the neighboring countries and is spreading very fast. And that is something I think I said here a week ago, that the rest of Africa should wake up to and really look at this issue, not just as a Nigerian issue, but something that threatens the stability and, of the rest of Africa. As Boko Haram, when you look at the history and the things they've been able to do and the kidnappings they've been doing in schools, there are parts of Nigeria where kids cannot even go to school. So it's something that we cannot keep taking lightly and just reading as just another news piece across Africa. It is something that requires, more attention even from the rest of Africa leadership should this matter be dealt with forthwith. So that is that news coming from Nigeria and, of course, Uganda. So now, Dr. Batanga just mentioned this here in passing, not really in passing, I think in depth before he left, but I think we'll come back and we'll talk about it when we'll be looking at dialogue, democracy, and conflicts across Africa, and which one of those has really worked. And we will look at dialogue, and we'll also look at democracy and some of the democracies that are considered to be very stable in Africa. And I think Mauritius is leading, and then Cape Verde is coming in second. I think Botswana is coming in third. Botswana has had its own shares of problems here and there. Remember, President right now, Masisi, who is the president of Botswana right now, he inherited from President Khama, and they were very good friends. And of course, Masisi worked in Khama's government, and it is believed that he handpicked him as to succeed him. But after that, he thought, Masisi will play ball. After Masisi came into power, things have changed now, and Khama is not a very happy man. And we can see the same case in what is happening in Congo, with President Tshisekedi and former President Joseph Kabila. Because Joseph Kabila, they made a deal, and of course the elections were disputed. There's some international observers, and even the Catholic Church, which has a very powerful voice in the Democratic Republic of Congo, came out to say, Martin Fayulu actually won the elections. And we saw countries like France come in and back the win of Fayulu, and other international observers and other international countries and other international interests. Let's not forget, they always have a specific interest when it comes to these countries in Africa. But Mr. Kabila made a deal with Tshisekedi. So finally, the Electoral Commission of Congo, announced that Mr. Tshisekedi won. And of course, it was expected since Joseph Kabila's party has the majority in all major seats in the country. They're supposed to work together, and they're supposed to produce, Kabila's party is supposed to produce the Prime Minister of DRC, which the name that he floated to Mr. Tshisekedi rejected. So it is the same scenario that is happening right now in Congo, and that it's also happening as we speak in Botswana. A former president thinks that by preferring a specific candidate to succeed him, he thinks that he'll still have, his control over this. So that has backfired on Kabila, from what we're seeing and what we're reading and what the news that is coming from Congo, but also that backfired very badly for Mr. Kama, the former president of Botswana. And it's very interesting ties and things happening there. So, but Botswana is considered to be, it's just the top 5, considered to be one of the mature democracies across Africa. So we will look at that when we're looking at dialogue, democracy, and conflicts in Africa, and we look into that in depth. And now, speaking of democracy in Uganda, and President Museveni, I think he just can't stomach any level of criticism, and they've been giving Bobi Wine a very hard time. I think he wanted to perform at a concert that so Bobi Wine was trying to access this venue, and I think the police had stopped him. So what the news says is Ugandan pop star and opposition lawmaker Bobi Wine has condemned his brief arrest. He was arrested yesterday, but briefly, saying he was treated like a terrorist, that he will, and he says that he will not be intimidated from continuing with his war against President Yoweri Museveni's dictatorship. And of course, policemen with batons and riot shields forced Bobi Wine, whose real name is Robert Changulanyi, out of his car as he was making his way to a concert at a venue south of the capital in Kampala. So Bobi Wine was going to have I think an Easter performance concert, and I think he was advised not to, but he decided to do it anyway. And so he was trying to access the venue, and the police could not allow him to do that. So he was held on Monday, but that was briefly, and then he was released. I wish they'll just let him go and perform, and then he'll finish, talk to his supporters, and he will go home. The more you keep fighting, the more you keep refusing for him to perform. He's already famous as a musician. He has his own, he's created his own fan base. So this is a person, I think, that is quite a great threat to Museveni. And looking at the events and what has been happening in Africa, I don't know if this is the right way to go. I think, in my opinion, the government of Uganda would have just let Mr. Bobi Wine or Robert Chagulanyi to just go to the concert, have him perform, provide him with the security that he requires as a member of parliament and also as an artist. And after that, he'll address his supporters or his fans who will be present there, and he will leave, and that will be that. But when you met him with a lot of force like this, arrest him and beat him and chase around his fans, I think you're giving him a lot of leeway, and you're making him even more popular, and he's gaining more sympathizers by day. So I think this might backfire on the Ugandan government, and let the guy perform. I mean, he's been performing for years, so what is the difference now? Kango, what you're saying, what is he after? Politics, music, or a mixture of all? It's interesting because I think he wants to be a master in all of this. It's a bit confusing. Music, politics, all of that, it's a bit confusing. So I'm just but you know what? If he wants to perform, because that is what he's known for as an artist, then they will just let him perform and he'll go home. I think it's not really a big deal. I would want to believe that. But of course, President Museveni's government will not have any of that. And so let's see how that will play out. And of course, in Sudan, over the Easter Salva Kiir was calling upon Machar to come back urgently to, Khartoum so that they can restart the peace process. So that is also something that we'll be looking at. So I'm just going to take a very short break. And when I come back, we will continue with the topic of the day and we'll look at the rest of the African news. So please don't go very far. Good morning, Africa. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and indeed, thank you so much for joining us. This is Good Morning Africa, and Dr. Matsanga just had taken a very short break, but now he's back on set, so we can continue with the rest of the show, Dr. Matsanga.
Yes, good afternoon.
It is good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
I think because of the weather.
Yes, the weather is changing.
The rain is here.
You came with the rain.
I did. I did. Such a blessing.
Yes, you arrived with rain.
And now we should fire all the people at the meteorological department.
Yes, they told us the rain had disappeared.
It will be gone until a
yes, that it was kept in Tanzania. But on a serious note, I think we have degraded our forests to a very bad level. Africa should wake up, make sure that this forest, we start planting trees. Miriam, here you are not in the same rhythm with the doctor
with regard to
Bob Wine activities.
Yes.
I think you are in the right freedom, justice to take into...
What I was saying is they would just allow this guy to go perform and go home. Offer him the protection he needed by blocking him and trying to close all this. They're giving him undue popularity, and he's gaining.
Yes, that one, I think if you said that, you are in the same line.
Let him just perform and go home.
That is my post last night, is we are creating politics of martyrdom.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Martyrdom.
And he's getting more sympathetic.
Yes, he's getting more sympathetic. In fact, if Bob Wine just says he has MTN number for Ugandans to put money in there, there will be very many millions. He doesn't need to play music. You know that?
Yes.
It will be bigger than the central bank.
Wow.
There are millions of Ugandans who are not happy.
Especially the younger generation.
Yes, they are not happy. And you don't need to give a man room. You see, the president of Ukraine went on telling the comedian that you are useless.
Yeah, Poroshenko,
yes, that you are useless, you won't manage anything. The guy managed 73%.
Can you believe that? 73%.
So why do you give a man who has no tools to have tools to go and overthrow you?
He's gaining popularity.
Yes.
By
I mean, the actions, these actions internationally bring in a lot of one, very goodwill messages. You can't manage them on the social media now. You can't do anything. I mean, the more they go on arresting the guy, hammering the car as if the car has got some money inside, breaking the windows.
It's uncalled.
These are some of the things that make Africa ugly.
And you just mentioned social media. Social media right now, for a person like Bobby Wine, is really working on his behalf.
Yeah.
Long time ago, you could beat
Matsanga those days.
Nobody will see.
Yes, in the 80s. Most of us were told to get off. But now, the social media, one arrest is enough.
There. It's on Twitter. It's
yes, anything. If they find my trouser is not on, in any place in Kenya, it will be on the whole world. So the social media has helped the younger generation, which is on social media. So what you don't need is to see the problems of them coming in huge numbers. And the more, because I looked at one of them yesterday crying for water to put in his eyes. Even my tears also started flowing because he's saying, don't worry, we can die for the few of you. Those are the messages that bring people the sense of patriotism. He was, the manager was crying. He said, don't worry, but give me water to wash my eyes from the tear gas. But then the more they do it, we shall let's die for you, but keep the struggle going. That is very bad.
Let's die for you.
Yes.
These are people who have been pushed to a cliff.
Yes.
They have nothing.
Yes.
Dangerous people.
And the worst part of it is in the Ugandan scenario, it is being done in the densely populated area.
He's bad. He knows where to put the concert.
The densely populated. President Museveni won a war.
Bobby Wine is very strategic.
Yes. President Museveni won a war because of being in Buganda. People forget history. When a revolution is about to eat itself, they even forget.
Revolution is about to eat itself.
Yes.
It's a very good point.
That's a word I'm telling you.
Yes.
You see, when Mugabe was going down, I told him Mugabe in Addis Ababa, don't try this. Create a transition. Mugabe went and told the wife that they said they want a transition. You see, I have been there. I know Museveni is going to travel to Zimbabwe on Friday. He can ask. Those are my friends.
Is there a special
Whatever you go to tell them, you are wasting time, they will tell me.
Is there to Zimbabwe?
Yes, to open up a trade fair.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
When a revolution is eating itself.
It is.
All these people have friends. All these army generals watch the treatment that is taking place. Of
the kinsmen, of the people.
Yeah, they have also children. They have brothers. They are watching. So don't allow a martyrdom, politics of martyrdom in Africa, allowing one man to stand up to be the one, being killed, being beaten, you see, Besigye was being beaten every day. And the Besigye made a mark that today in Uganda, people still think the way he was beaten. They say we shall not live. We like him. So don't create another Besigye. And don't create too many of them. Call this young man. We are now on the topic of dialogue, democracy, and conflict. This young man needs to be talked to. What the president of Uganda should do is to call Bob Wine in front of people like Ruakana Rugunda, and other people. They don't call him to embarrass him. Because already this guy has a box of matches.
He's a member of parliament.
No, leave that. He's got a box of matches.
That means he tried and he was able to be elected.
This younger man.
So you don't know in a bigger platform what will happen.
Yes, this younger man, these people there are very annoyed. What you see when you are in power like a Julius Caesar, you rarely know what is outside there.
You're out of touch.
When the beggar was telling Julius Caesar on the streets that the comets have been standing for 7 weeks, 7 days, they have not moved. Whenever the comets start staying in one place in the sky, well, the guards, Julius Caesar's guards threw this guy away from the, the cottage. The cottage of that thing, that the wagon of horses. Julius Caesar was inspecting the city. Then one beggar said, there is something which is strange here. Governor, Emperor Julius Caesar, watch. There are people plotting to finish you.
Yes.
You see? There are people going to finish you. But the emperor did not see. Julius Caesar's men said, no, Matanga is telling the lies. Don't listen to Matanga.
Yes.
That's what I told in Khartoum.
You told...
I told Bashir. In 2017, I told Bashir, how do you tell me that the French are the ones organizing the canals? They are going to dig canals and make the roads better. Even the transport in Khartoum will be on canals. I said, you are finished. Even my supper did not go down well, Walai. So if the French are the people organizing your ICC slaughter, and you have given them more money to arrange themselves. Whatever he is in prison now is remembering this Ugandan man.
The army got about $113 million in his residence. He was ready to go.
There's nothing wrong with the money.
$113 million.
Yes, presidents
in a house.
Yeah, he has been there for 30 years. Was he not collecting money?
He was keeping in his residence.
He can keep. Presidents are allowed.
Okay.
Special fund.
I need that special fund.
Yes,
$13 million.
Mama, presidents, even Yahya was got with the money.
I think Yahya was allowed to leave.
Yes, Yahya was allowed to carry 250 million.
I think even in Bashir, for him to have gotten that money, to have that money in his residence, I think he was planning to exit.
Yeah.
To leave the country.
And go and rest somewhere. You don't want me? Even if I have not brought any development, go here, I've gone.
That time he went to Egypt, he should not have come back.
Yes, but they lied to him that they will not do a regime change. Have you seen what is going on in Libya? In the Libyan scenario, it's very simple. What killed Muammar Gaddafi is a very serious thing. It's women.
Muammar Gaddafi.
Yes, the woman... Sarkozy's wife, Muammar Gaddafi, used to airlift her into Tripoli. You know that woman, the model, is the one who caused. I have found out this.
And this is news to me, so I really need to hear this story.
Yeah, I will tell you offline. It is very dangerous. You women, especially slender ones, are a problem.
What?
Yes.
She was a model.
A model?
Yes.
Gaddafi aliona model.
But Gaddafi had beautiful
I am now
women.
telling you, a friend of mine.
In his security.
Yes, a friend of mine from.
Very beautiful.
From
women.
Paris. A very high friend from Paris. You know, the French think they can manage me. No, I have friends there also.
So ex-president.
This man told me.
Nicolas Sarkozy's wife.
Yes. Because the security saw he used to airlift the lady.
For what?
For what?
For what purposes?
For what? You know it.
No, I don't know.
You should know.
I should not know. I'm trying to...
The woman used to fly to Tripoli.
Understand this is breaking news.
Yes, it is breaking news.
Trying to understand.
Yeah, you know, the French lady loved the charisma
Bonjour.
Yes, the charisma and the stature of my Pan-African brother.
Muammar Gaddafi.
Yes,
And Sarkozy.
he was handsome.
Well, yeah.
When he wears those garbs, he was. So Sarkozy's wife, let's also embarrass the French president.
Not embarrassed.
Yes, Sarkozy, the wife after Gaddafi's death,
Yes.
Sarkozy divorced the wife. And the wife divorces Gaddafi because he said, why did you kill him? Why did you order troops? And Sarkozy, you remember Sarkozy just collapsed, resigned, left the presidency in it because he was given a condition. We go and attack Libya, but you don't become a president, because if we attack and Gaddafi survives, they will point a finger, the woman will come for you. And we shall have a big crisis here.
So he used to airlift Sarkozy's wife to Tripoli.
Send private, the best jet.
To the desert.
To the desert for Tata, down there in the tents.
Okay.
Yeah. Sarkozy might not have operated properly. So there are other operational mechanisms.
All right.
You know, Africa operates.
Okay.
You asked many questions. I will answer them.
I think you've answered enough, so let's just now move on. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, former ex-president of France, Nicolas Sarkozy, had a very beautiful wife. And
and they had a clash. So what is happening in Africa? Dialogue, democracy, and the conflict. These two have worked in different proportions according to what France wants you to do. For example, in Amazonia, we have a problem. There is nobody even advocating for anything in Amazonia. They have left Mr. Biya free. If the man in Africa, whose country is very poor,
yes,
is paying for the restoration of the cathedral from a first world country,
yes,
does God see you better or see the poor people?
You had a meeting about Amazonia last week.
Yes.
Yes, and they warned of the unfolding catastrophe that is happening in the Amazonia region. And last week they said that the EU Parliament, security and political situation, said the security and political situation in northwest and southwest region must be addressed, and urgently. They told Biya he that must be addressed.
If it doesn't, and it has to be addressed on a two-tier state. There is no more negotiation of one Cameroon. It's a two-tier state.
Two states.
To avoid any future genocide,
A two-state solution.
the two-tier states, one of called Amazonia, and another one call it whatever you want to call. That's it. These guys have killed those guys.
So,
for example, you come out of the church. One of the guys was even explaining. He came out of the church, and then he found troops from Cameroon army. They started shooting over this Easter, shooting people who had gone to church to pray to God, to seek. Surely, no.
yeah. So for it to have gotten a place at the EU Parliament, I think finally, probably we should.
The struggle has been long.
Yes.
I told you, the letter I wrote to Margaret, to Baroness Scotland, Patricia Scotland, is very rude. I later on read it and I said I had...
You wrote a rude letter?
Yes. I said I had spoiled my relationship until a few days ago, on Saturday,
yes, I
saw a telephone call from her. Then I knew things had not gone badly.
You must have struck a nerve.
Yeah, she must have thought about my letter on Amazonia. I said... You're
brutally honest, or you're
honest? Brutally honest, yes. Okay. I said the Commonwealth was created to protect English-speaking people, whom the Queen civilized to speak English and have English manners. Is that not honest brutality?
Okay.
We were taught by the English. We have not been taught by the French. to speak French. We were taught by English. That's why the Commonwealth exists. Why doesn't the Commonwealth help the people of Amazonia? I asked Patricia Scotland, and you are the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. Above all, you are a black person from Bahamas. What's the problem? I hit it.
So after you'd sent it, that's when you read it. And
I read it. I said somewhere I went wrong. Hit my friend, whom have been my friend for 26 years. I spoiled my friendship, but I don't care. Later on, I thought she had never. Now she will not see me, or she will not talk to me, because the letter was really to her email. It's not being read by secretary. I said, that's it. I'm fed up. Every time these people in Cameroon are asking for this, for that, you open. Why, whom are you protecting? You are supposed to protect the Queen's property. The British Empire means the English Empire.
But we're not her property. I think we were.
No, we are in terms of civilization. We are civilized.
Okay.
We know how to go to toilet. Because, yes.
But not her property.
The Queen brought, we know how to, we are not the property anymore. But the
Commonwealth.
She is the sovereign. That's why we have the Commonwealth Conference. Of the Commonwealth Games. It's the only third largest, actually, the second largest block in the world.
The world, yes.
To UN. Yes. Show me another block.
But she responded to your letter.
She responded through the telephone now.
She called.
Yes. We have been friends, but this letter had brought her heart. She said, oh no. That's all she wrote on email. Oh no. Because I hit hard.
You burned the bridge, but she...
No, I didn't burn the bridge. I wanted to warn her that when you are not the Secretary General, I campaigned for her to be the Secretary General.
Okay.
In most of the countries that knew me, like South Africa, I campaigned very vigorously. Kenya here, I lobbied Amina Mohammed for Kenya to give her a vote. I did. I'm honest. And then I said, you have let me down. You gave me assignment in 2 countries in Africa. I accomplished. I went to Tanzania free, actually. I campaigned with the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Membe. Let's give this lady the thing. Tanzania said they will support. So I said, why are you killing Amazonia? In Africa, don't hide. Haven't you seen the people running for my article on Raila? If you hide, they will not run. I've hit. They are there like everybody saying, oh my God, this guy here. Because what is it that you want Raila to do? Raila is a chairperson, a high representative on infrastructure.
Special envoy.
A special envoy on infrastructure. What Uhuru Kenyatta is going to discuss, or an African president is going to discuss in China, what is it? What? Is he going to discuss eating noodles? They are going to discuss how they can change Africa in infrastructure. So if Raila can go by either sea, by air, by land, he's still the AU representative. He's no longer a normal Kenyan. Please, let the people know this.
Yes.
So don't reduce him to a village paramount chief of whom you are going to torture here, torture there. No.
Speaking of which, Kenya has really intensified its lobbying for the UN Security Council post.
I supported them. Of course, I supported Kenya, and Kenya will be supported. I am not a diplomat. So that I don't know. The CS of any country expect me to be talking like a diplomat. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm an Pan-African activist. Where I see the truth, I talk like a Pan-African activist.
You tell the truth.
Yes, I don't speak like a diplomat. The minister can speak like a diplomat because the minister is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I don't expect myself to humble myself before the AU chairperson who went on leave leaving Sudan to collapse. And his deputy is even talking different things about his boss. So, hey, Mama, I'm not. I'm not a diplomat. I'm not Macharia.
Yes.
The PS is a diplomat. I'm not.
Yes.
I'm a Pan-African activist. I tell the truth. Where it is going to hurt people, let it hurt you. Yes. But listen to it.
But you tell the truth.
Yes, like I did on ICC. Why don't you give me credit? I did.
Yes, and Doctor, just I think we're already on our topic of the hour, Diaspora Dispatches, Dialogue, Democracy and Conflict in Africa, and have they worked. And over the weekend, South Sudan's President Salva Kiir called upon the rebel leader Riek Machar to urgently return to the country and implement the peace deal signed last year. Kiir, who was delivering an Easter message, also recounted the piercing experience during his recent Vatican visit when the Pope kissed his feet. So the kiss must have really triggered something in Kiir. So now he's telling Machar, can you come back? Let's start this peace process.
That is
dialogue.
Dialogue.
Will that work?
It won't.
Machar still insists in it 6 months.
Machar needs men like me. Again, to warn him. And I hope you are listening, Dr. Riek Machar. And I don't know whether we postponed, we tag him now. Let him here. The Pope kissed you and your feet. If you have studied the mafia of Italy and the creation of Italian state called Italy after the Second World War, after Mussolini and the others, then come back quickly. Get on the plane. If you cannot go to Khartoum, say which other country you can go to.
Kenya.
And then process yourself and immediately avail yourself, Dr. Riek Machar, for whatever signing ceremony is needed in Juba. Then go and wait. Don't postpone.
That will be another 6 months of anxiety.
No, don't. He might not be there. Please. Once the Pope does what he has done, please listen. I told you in 1998, we Ugandans were in the same place, a few of us, 6, 7 of us, in that same place where Riek Machar, the chairs might not have changed because the church preserved their chairs. The difference is that the Pope who was there touched our hands and touched the hands and looked at us like this, you know, touched us and reached me and said, you have to go and get peace, you young man. Get the peace. God wants you to get peace. That's why I stuck on this. And with the prayer of God, I brought peace to northern Uganda. Today, northern Uganda, you can sleep even outside without shelter. But there will be no gun that will kill you. The Pope, the same place. So be careful. Dr. Riek Machar, if I were you, pack quickly, ship, and come. Don't delay 6 months. Don't say anything. Don't. I'm telling you. That dialogue, which Salva Kiir is saying, come quickly, is a calling.
Yes.
You yourselves agree to go to Pope. That's the last fatwa. Fatwa is like the Ayatollah of Iran sending fatwa on you. The Ayatollah. What watakutafuta?
The supreme leader.
Yes. So the Christian supreme leader, the Holy See, has said, please, don't go back to kill people again.
Yes.
He's crying tears.
Kissing your feet.
Kissing your feet. And you want to remain eating hamburger in Rome.
He's still, where is he now, Machar?
No, I don't want to disclose his place. I know, but I told you, brother, get out.
Come back to Juba. I think he should extend also his, if he's really it means good for the people of South Sudan, he should accept this white flag that the President Salva Kiir is extending towards him. He should accept.
That's the Bishop of Canterbury, near the Pope.
Yes.
Bishop of Canterbury, that's my bishop of my church. The only church I go to, not the one with drums and a guitar and a what.
They don't have drums there.
No.
Only the organ.
No. We have the traditional organ.
Okay.
No drum, guitar. No, this guitar problem has become guitar. So those two men in the world, the biggest religious, the highest religious leaders in the world, called Machar come. They kiss their feet. Jamen, if Machar wants another problem,
Yeah.
I do understand northern
South Sudan.
Yes.
I think that is from Alex.
Alex Raid Abdi, I do understand.
Adi.
I also was in Sudan, and don't think you know more about Sudan than me. But let's compare notes. I was there when Sudan was not even South Sudan. It was Southern Sudan. Okay? During the peace process, the man talking to you is the one who crossed LRA rebels from Eastern Equatoria to Western Equatoria over River Nile after the ceasefire. I know all about ceasefire. What will you tell me? Let African Union, you see, let's postpone this topic of dialogue. Let's come to South Sudan because it pains us. Look here. Until South Sudan is handed over to the United Nations Security Council fully, Riaka will dally. Salva Kiir will say this. I agree with Alex again, because the security arrangements that you see Riaka is saying, if he goes when the army is not integrated. So how do you integrate the army? You need UN.
His security is compromised.
Yes, you need UN. And this is what Matanga has been saying. Jermaine, what the hell do they listen?
Today you've cast a lot. What the hell?
What is going on? I have been saying this from day one, 3 days after the war broke up in 2013. I wrote a document to Amina Mohammed, the Minister of Foreign Affairs then. I said, Madam, this is the only document IGAD can use. Less than that, there were no basics. What kills the Sudan peace process is the basic. If Garanga had been alive, Sudan would have not separated. The basic, the people, the peace process from the people, not the peace process from the leaders. That is what is killing the peace in South Sudan. From we don't have peace from the people. We have peace imposed by the leaders on the people.
So it's a peace that really cannot hold.
It can't.
And one of our viewers here, Bismarck Bura, thank you so much. You're saying, I think Uganda case is different because members of security and defense is tribally balanced. But in South Sudan, those institutions are one tribe based on. So the security clause of the peace agreement is a precursor for peace and return of Riek Machar. So it's important because most of one tribe.
I agree. But now, where we are, Riek should have not agreed to kiss the feet. Or the feet to be kissed.
Did he have a choice not to be kissed?
You can leave. There's a rebel leader, another one called what?
And then
there's another one.
Yes.
He could have refused. There's another one called General who?
Who refused?
Yes. Maral, the one of the boy who was who was arrested with money. What is his name?
Malong.
Malong, yes. There is one who has refused. He did not go there. Has he died? He's out. He's not part of it.
He was not part of the...
Yeah, he did not.
Of the spiritual...
He has got his army called Salvation Army. Sudan Salvation Army.
Okay.
Or Salvation Army of Sudan.
Sudan.
Something like that. He didn't go.
But I think in this case, for Machar and for Salva Kiir, it was important because they are the major two players of that hold the peace process at Ramson in South Sudan.
You know,
if these two can get it right,
you know what is killing Sudan, South Sudan, is one big problem: ethnicity, and ethnicity can be cured by a tribunal. A tribunal can take both from one tribe to the other, both of them.
And balance.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why you see Rwanda is stable. In Interahamwe and some Tutsi extremists were locked up. Yes. There were some, they took a tribunal, Rwanda stabilized. A tribunal, Sierra Leone stabilized. A tribunal, Yugoslavia stabilized. My dear, I teach this subject. You can enjoy it for good lessons. Can't you see?
But Clovis Sadaraka, thank you. And you're saying, but doctor, look at these countries handed to the so-called United Nations. What's happening to them? Could you give us examples which country maybe we could make reference?
There's no country. Which one?
That have been handed to the United Nations.
Where? Libya, maybe.
It's a mess.
But Libya had been stabilized until America because we have a very dangerous president in America and another dangerous younger man in Paris. The younger man is using adolescence stage, politics of adolescence to dismember Africa. The old man in America is using senility. Senile.
He's crazy. Trump is just...
to destroy Africa.
Yes.
So Africa is pushed in the middle. Hey, let me speak for my continent.
Okay.
Even Fred must be laughing.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Fred. Let me speak for my the other one, the man in America is senile. The guy in France is a juvenile. Young, juvenile politics, immature politics of decision making. Yes. Haven't you seen how Africa is suffering? You can't arm General Khalifa Haftar with planes when you have created under United Nations Security Council a resolution that empowers the government in Tripoli. No way. There must be somebody speaking for Africa. This is rubbish. You cannot do that. And then now empower General Khalifa Haftar. You have already given some terrorist power. You bring another terrorist on top of the terrorists. Where is Indian Ocean, in Mediterranean Sea, we soon have terrorists controlling the route that we trade on.
It has already. And they're having a slave market there. I was watching some advertisement by the South Sudanese government over the weekend on CNN, and they were saying, they were showing part of South Sudan that the rest of the world don't really get to see. Very beautiful, I don't know, part of Juba.
Exactly.
Very nice.
Not Juba alone.
Yes.
There are some parts in...
developed and the bank...
developed, very green, very nice.
And the saying...
because below there is oil.
South Sudan is ready for business.
It is.
These two...
No, the advert...
Yes.
You see, this is the part I had this afternoon in the People's Court.
Yes.
I've got it.
You watched the advert?
Yeah, the advert.
I loved it.
You see here where Africa goes wrong. Instead of advertising on Kenyan television or Uganda television, because we are the people who give them tomatoes to eat.
Okay.
They don't have anything. These guys have nothing.
The South Sudanese.
Yes. Show me. If we cut the route from Kampala, that place will die. From Kenya, that place will die. So listen here. Instead of advertising these things on African TV so that Africans can unite and help them, they are doing it on CNN. I saw the advert. How much money is that advert? If you follow it, you'll find a government official ate like $5 million.
And of course, there were the ministers who were speaking, and you could see, of course, it's a government project. I think they're trying to attract foreign investors into the country.
Which foreign investor will go there?
In a war talk.
No, which foreign investor? This is like President Museveni came to London in 1992. While addressing a press conference and the British Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I had my restaurant and my nightclub in London. I also paid as a member of the British Chamber of Commerce. Registered, I entered. It was 500 shillings, 500 pounds of 1993 strong money. Then His Excellency, in his speech, he was the guest keynote speaker that is inviting British firms to go where?
To Uganda.
I stood up and on point of order.
And did what?
And I did the damage. I said, Mr. President, point of order. I think that's why Museveni will never forgive me.
That is the grudge he has.
No, not only that. That one.
Among others.
And among others. And then that's why he did not give me my money. Because I will cry this money until my children cry this money.
So your money is collateral damage,
Okay.
Yes.
Point of order, Mr. Convener of the conference. Is it in order for the President of the Republic of Uganda to tell a lie to you investors here?
Use what?
Yes, I was honest. Semogere was there. Amama Babazi was the minister there.
What?
Amama Babazi insulted me for almost 10 minutes. Who I am, Papa. Museveni looked at me. He couldn't believe. The chairman said, the gentleman there has raised a very serious point. Now me, you know this is British democracy.
Yes.
Said, is it in order for your excellency to come to London to tell lies that there is a conducive climate in Uganda when half of the country is under war? Wow.
And that was the truth.
The conference went wild. They looked at me. By then I was not big like this, Mama. I was slender, very handsome, with very nice suits. Suits used to fit me. And every journalist looked for me. Every BBC, that is Zainabu. They were looking for
You are disrupt or you are trouble?
No, now I caused trouble.
Okay.
My president came for me.
Your president?
He said, thank you very much. The chairman said, Your Excellency, the gentleman there raised a very important question.
And then he remembered.
And the several points of order now came from Wazungu. America, well, fight of order. Now, my president stands up and says, after a long time looking at me, he said, this one here, he did not know at that time that talking to Bazungu, you don't talk like that. He went for me. This is what I wanted.
As an NRM leader.
No, he went for me now.
As the president.
Yes, he came for me. He said, these ones are the type of people we liquidate. Point of order. The other one said, this guy said, is it in order for the president? These ones in Uganda, we finish. We deal with them. A point of order. Like 2,000 points of order, the whole became wild.
The meeting stopped.
Yes, the convener of the meeting decided that we have to take a short break. I had achieved what I wanted.
And did you leave immediately?
No. What will you do in London on me? What? I stuck there. This is 1993. The conference, we can call it in the Commonwealth Center. We can even play it back. Now I became the center of attraction during the break. Every Muzungu ran to me to get me a card. A card.
every major
yes.
outlet, okay.
I now started explaining during tea break that there is a war. There is a war. Let's be honest. There is a war. What are you going to invest in there? Let's finish the war first. So when we went to break, Semogerere came to me because Semogerere knew me from Uganda those days. We had defeated him in the Bochita elections of 1980, which we stole. You know, I have to tell the truth also, which caused us all this problem. We gerrymandered the elections.
You stole the elections.
Yeah, God needs truth before we go before Him.
Okay. So you're cleaning your name.
Yes.
Okay.
Utuliiba.
All right.
That election was stolen.
So when he came to you during the
break and I said, David, please, David, please, don't do this. We know, we all know. Please, but cool down. Then I asked Semoge, should I go back in? He said, yes, it's your democratic right. So when I went in, it is Amama Babazi. You know why people suffer? Look at him, where he is. I am where I am. I've never changed in my principles. I have never.
So you
until Obote comes, the spirit of vision of Obote comes to tell me what to do.
Gives you a sign.
Yes, Maba Obote will give me a sign. I will never change. Amama Bazi called me names. Why? Names. Where were you? What? He was the Minister of Security. He said, we shall even pick you from here. So he's telling the British they are listening. Then they say, oh, so this guy is really a very big threat to this guy. They can kill him. You know that? You know what they did? They even searched me that I had carried something to go inside. Can you bring in Britain?
So you feel South Sudan, the advertisement.
The advertisement.
But I saw a side of South Sudan I've really not seen, and I was happy to see that.
And I do what? How can you give 5 million to your CNN when your people are dying of hunger? Miriam, are you all right?
I was happy to see the other side of South Sudan.
Which side of Sudan can you see? Dead bodies?
South Sudan.
No, dead bodies.
We're used to the dead bodies and the...
And they brought what?
Very wonderful.
What about the war?
There is a war.
There are women who have never changed their knickers. Since 2013, they can't wash themselves because of bullets. There are children who have never gone to school. There are people who cannot eat. There is war, there is hunger, there is famine, there is disease. Schools have not opened. You advertise for what? What are you advertising? This is the type of corruption in Africa. And Africans should not shy from telling the truth. It is like a Paul Biya donating money to France to rebuild a cathedral. For what? When you are killing people in Amazonia. Why don't you contribute that money to the humanitarian catastrophe?
Well, part of your country can't even go to church.
Yes, part of your country, they come out of the church. Your soldiers are killing them.
Yes.
The bishop of some place over BBC was saying when we came out of church, soldiers started spreading bullets and shooting in without discrimination, indiscriminately. Africa. Africa. If you follow that advert, the Minister of Communication or anywhere, he has eaten 10%. If it was $5 million, he has eaten 500,000.
Kickbacks.
Kickback.
So they're still the ones benefiting, the ones at the top.
Yes. No common man. Where is the TV scene in Sudan? Where?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think the advertisement is a bit conflicting because you wonder on one.
Who is seeing the TV?
On one hand, even
people are in the field dying.
The deputy president can't even come back to the country. He's worried about his security. So how can foreign investors come here and invest? I think it's a bit conflicting. Maybe they're trying to show there's some hope in South Sudan, which is a good thing. But on the other hand, they need to work on the real issues, and the real issues is number one priority to bring peace. And if Machar can find his way back to Juba when his security has been guaranteed, then that will be a good start. So yes, Bismarck Bura, you're saying that is corruption. And Clovis Daraka, you're saying kudos, doctor.
And Bune Makube says straight talk. Today was straight talk, and bring this topic of dialogue, democracy, and conflict this afternoon.
Okay.
In the People's Court. I want to tell the people who are in the square in Khartoum, you have achieved your aim.
Go back home.
Go back home and start building your country.
It's time to go back home.
If not, John Odoglo is going to take it. You know, he's going to, that guy, I know him. Hey, you saw, you saw the reception he got on pickups. New branded pickups, about 4,000 of them. Those are the ones he brought. General Duglo, he's not going to play with these guys. They better start packing and leaving. They go and sit down, form an organization to see who should be the current prime minister. Less than that, they're inviting trouble from the army.
They should give the transition.
You see, there is one thing that I want to say. The type of demonstrators are talking like a Besigye in Uganda.
In Sudan?
Yes. Okay. The Besigye, why Besigye cannot win an election and he will fail again, is because he says when we take power, everything of what was NRM goes out. That's not... Then you are useless.
But that is what is happening right now with the former President Omar al-Bashir. Like everything that was linked to
that is useless.
They're trying to...
There are people who are 30 years who know nothing about what you are talking about. Will they allow? They know only Bashir. There are people 34 years in Uganda who only adore President Museveni. When you say you are going to remove everything, you just said the legacy. You keep the good legacy of His Excellency President Museveni.
The good part, yes.
That's the best way I am going to manage that politics of that country. The best way one day if God has kept me.
You know, you keep giving all these snippets.
Don't worry, because
and I catch them in spirit.
Why can't you see me on this web?
I hear you.
Look at the judges. There is something I want to tell you.
Oh, the one on Thursday.
Yes, you were not here.
No, I was happy.
You were here.
The first show, yes.
The judges in Uganda. You see, people in Uganda, we need an international exposure, and men like us who have seen these things internationally. And we have wisdom. We are older than some of these mayor, Lord Mayor of Kampala. These are younger people. They have never seen most of these things. Look at this. The judges themselves had asked that their retirement age must be increased. Listen to this. And let Ugandans say I'm wrong on this. Then you take the case to the same judges who have also asked for the president and the country to increase their retirement age. You think they rule in favor or against you?
Corruption.
The court where you are taking the case of Uganda, of Museveni's term age limit, is the same court, Supreme Court, that asked for increment of their age for retirement.
To be pushed further.
So they could not rule, because they could be, in case they come to court in future, this could be used as a precedent. So they cannot. I saw it. I knew it was going to go that way. I saw it. There was no need of wasting time watching. I watched and I cried tears. There is one professor woman. I love her with the heart, not the love of anything, but the heart. That professor, the woman, the lawyer, and then there is a man called Mwangusa, Judge Mwangusa, and another judge. That judge said it candidly is rubbish. You cannot sign a certificate. You cannot sign the law when the certificate is faulty. You can't. And let me tell Ugandans, those listening, that is the position. A certificate in parliament must be the correct. The certificate is like the insurance that allows the president to sign the law. If you have a faulty certificate, then the car cannot move. A certificate of good conduct gives you a job. But if you have a faulty certificate of bad conduct, do you get the job? How can judges say, although the certificate had a few mistakes, there was nothing wrong with Hasha?
All right.
Hasha?
Okay.
Wala. Washa? Is this the way we want? Is this the Africa we want? What was the use? I would not, if I were the one, I would not have taken that case to court.
Yeah, that petition was defeated at arrival, I think.
Yes.
Died on arrival.
And the worst part of my fellow Ugandans, I want to tell you the truth. And let me take this opportunity to say, you are not, you see the problem that Ugandans have a very bad mindset. You are now tackling Museveni on his age. Are you God? No, are you God? I want to ask, are these people God? To say if you are, how do you determine that he is bad love? Are we all medical doctors? Has Museveni failed to wake up in sleep and then he wakes up later? Has Museveni committed any crime as far as our Bill of Rights are concerned? Bankruptcy, becoming senile, and he is not incapacitated. If he is incapacitated, yes. No, it is automatic. Ugandans will say, if you reach the state of Bouteflika,
yes,
where you are being wheeled in a wheelchair to go and sign documents.
That's a problem.
That's the problem. But this guy still runs. This guy still cocks the gun. He takes drills. He go, he drives from Nairobi to Kampala. It's motorcade. People prefer flying. So you are not God to determine when he will go, how will he go. It's God. Ugandans should have concentrated and brought emotion. They would have been supported by everybody. If you said, bring 5 years back, 10 years, 2-term limit. Even if President Museveni was to begin today, let him finish the 2-term in 2029 and go. You will leave history. You get the point? Why are you hurrying? God has not told you the day you are going. God has prepared a day for everybody.
Yes. All right, one of our viewers here, Simon Korn, you're saying good afternoon to you, Dr. Matsanga and Miriam. Welcome back after the short Easter break. You said you missed our show. Indeed, we missed you guys too. And thank you so much for tuning in. Malish, you're saying good in wrong and wrong in good. I think the case you were stating of the Ugandan, Judiciary.
You are taking the case to judges who have also asked the same president.
Who also needs a favor from
the president. So what are you trying to do?
You'll not achieve that.
You are wasting your money.
Yes, indeed, in time.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing that judgment can help now is East African Confederation is going to take place in 2020. It could block the president's ascent. Because in the East African Constitution,
Yes.
and mark this, in the East African Confederation, there must be democratic. The person leading us must come from a democratic dispensation. So one East African in any of the East African could say, no, President Museveni cannot ascend because his country, there are no term limits.
It lacks in democracy.
Yeah. Brain, isn't it? Can't you see?
Yeah.
That's the only, you know, we are not going to fight with guns. We shall fight quietly. The president of East African Confederation, that post is coming.
So if he's denied to get there, what will happen?
And that, you know, his dream is East African integration, to be the president of East Africa. But the things that we are doing now in Uganda could deny us
that post.
Yes. And yet, His Excellency, the president, is the only eldest president, statesman,
around town,
whom we should have honored. But when it reaches East African politics, where you will not shut people down, Kenyans who like going to court, they will go.
Oh, Kenya, yes.
Yeah, they will go and block you.
Even Bobby Wine will find his way there.
No, this case cannot, the East African court cannot decide. Cannot, even if you take it now, they will not say, But wait, there is that how to ascend to power in the East African Confederation. The task is there. Those who are here, listen to me. Those who love President Museveni of Uganda, get them check. So those strategists, check that. Because it could be a roadblock. A big roadblock. And he could cry more tears than he's crying today. Than he's rejoicing today because he has been given. Someone will go to court in Tanzania and say, no. We can't, because uko kwenyu muna democracy. Demokrasia ya hapa iko term limit. That's why people like Kagame are doing and going away to allow the term limit to go on. Rwanda did not kill term limits. You remember? They only voted to extend. But they did not say, they voted for Kagame, they loved him. They gave him another 5 years. I don't know whether it is, I will look at it. But
I don't see him leaving after the end of it. He still tried to manipulate that Kagame. I think power has become very sweet.
Yeah, so
for Paul Kagame. But his is working dictatorship. It's working for the people of Rwanda.
Even Uganda, let me tell you, even Uganda is a working dictatorship. It works. Uganda security is first class.
But there has been a lot of disquiet and discontent.
Yes, the disquiet is in the question of distribution, corruption.
Yes.
What has caused disquiet is corruption.
It's corruption.
The same mafia group that is in Uganda is the same mafia group that is in Kenya. It's corruption.
They operate in the same manner. Yes, indeed.
You see? The corruption, the people who don't listen to the president, they are also soon going to be here. You'll see, I'm telling you. They don't listen to President Uhuru Kenyatta. When he has now gone to China, I don't know whether he has flown today.
All right, Bismarck Bura, you're saying public service order dictates the old must give job vacancies to the youth. Yeah.
And when I wrote my article, you see, to have gone to school is very good. Now be happy. Your child must always go to school. The conference in China is for road, for Belt and Road Forum. Belt and Road Forum. Raila fits in the conference as AU chairperson. It's not Kenya.
AU special envoy for infrastructure.
It is everybody is there.
Yes. So it's not just.
So when someone is attacking Raila because he's going to China, he has not read the background.
They don't know what.
Matsanga reads the background. I have serious international aspect of my Chinese friends. I just rang the institute. Yes, I have a Chinese in International Institute of Strategic Studies.
You have a Chinese friend?
Oh, yes. I'm a member of the International Institute of Strategic Studies in London. Life member. Hallelujah. So there's nothing that can defeat me knowing what is in China. The roads. So Raila was going for, you know, the people here, these small boys who write it, they need this education. I think one of these days, where is PLO Lumumba? Let's organize a conference and don't use too much heavy English. Let's teach some people some things. You know?
Is he back in the country yet, PLO?
It's a shame.
Okay.
It's a big shame. That conference, whether Uhuru was going or not, Raila was going.
He's going to, yes.
So let's face it.
It's just a coincidence that it happened.
You can hate Raila to any level you want. But when it comes to facts, state facts. Some of us never agreed with him. But when it comes to facts, like now, we defend. Because he said he wants unity. You cannot disagree with the president and say, I'm going to oppose you. This unity is needed here.
The country, yes.
So viewers, thank you very much.
Yes.
For watching us. Is 15 minutes past the hour.
Past the hour, yes indeed.
Do we enjoy?
Yes.
Yes.
And we're back from our very short Easter holiday. Dr.
3 p.m.
Dr. Matsanga was around here. He was
holding, you are now reporting me.
He was holding the fort. He did a great job.
She has reported. I was here, and I'm going to leave the fort for her by Friday.
By Friday.
So that you also hold the fort.
No problem.
Until I come back.
Sawa sawa.
Yeah, thank you.
But today we want to thank you so much for the company that you've kept us. We thank you for writing in and for engaging with us, and hopefully we can meet you here for our next broadcast.
The People's Courts.
People's Courts, yes, and we will continue with the subject we did not exhaust this morning.
People's Courts, yeah. People's Court, is it court? Yes.
People's Court.
People's Court on dialogue, democracy, and the conflicts in Africa. Have they worked? Prepare your answers.
Your questions and answers.
And by the way, I don't know why people don't call.
Yes.
Our phone number is open, please. The phone number is open, +254 795 638 145, Nairobi, Kenya.
Yes, indeed.
Piga simu. Ring. And we put you live.
Yes.
Don't fear to talk. Bia or Buhari will not.
Bia will not call.
Will not call.
I believe. But you can call if you're from Ambazonia or even the other part of Cameroon. If you think you have something to tell us, to engage with us, you're free to do that. So we'll see you some other time, next time. At 3, is it 3 or 4?
3 p.m.
3 p.m. East African time. You can adjust that according to
and you'll be
watching us from.
You'll be partly interrogated.
Yes.
And you interrogate me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we do with the People's Court.
I'll be the moderator.
The moderator.
Yes. He can be fiery. I'll try to, just calm things down.
Thank you very much. President Uhuru Kenyatta jets out of Kenya for the Belt and the Road Conference in China. Sources close to the presidency have just indicated so. And I was right when I said they are going to discuss matters of While Magoha says new curriculum unstoppable.
And he's getting about 91,000 teachers to train, I think, from today.
Yes.
New curriculum, yes.
Then police grill 4 suspects over Barclays ATM's haze.
Yeah, I saw that.
Where is it?
Looks like an inside job. Several ATMs, Barclays Bank ATMs, were raided just after the money was deposited in the ATMs. So it seems as though it was an inside job.
Now, bodies of Kenyans who died in Arusha car accident brought home. I was one of the first few people with Alai to bring those pictures yesterday. There were horrible pictures. I had to cover them because the car street, racing. It went ugly.
Wow.
It killed so many Kenyans. Where is the law in Africa? The car lost control and killed so many people.
It's just an accident, I think.
No, they knew this was coming. Those were not racing cars.
So they took...
You race that car at 200 speed starting point. If any slight thing you lose control, you go to kill people.
It's not a Lamborghini.
The people who were killed were actually revelers watching.
Bystanders.
That's the Africa we have.
Wow. All right. So we'll see you later. Or is there another news that
No.
we need to... Okay. See you later then.